Hi everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another video. And today, I would like to share my thoughts on Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Episode 13, which I thought was another great episode, primarily focusing on the Erza vs. Laxus fight, which we got a cliffhanger last week at the end of episode 12, when Erza confronted Laxus and then re-equipped into her lightning armor. But as you know, Fairy Tail has a large cast of characters, so there's a ton of other plot points taking place right now, such as Natsu and Happy confronting the White Mage and learning the truth about Toka. We also have a little bit of Wendy vs. Nebaru, although I'm pretty sure that's going to get its own episode, similar to how Erza and Laxus got their own episode this week, just because in the manga, the Erza vs. Laxus fight was like 2 or 3 chapters, and Wendy vs. Nebaru is the same, 2 or 3 chapters. So look forward to the full fight coming soon. And we also have Lucy's group, Lucy, Gray, Juvia, and Kana, discussing their plans as to how they can turn everyone in Fairy Tail back to normal. So lots of good stuff to get to. I have, of course, my screenshots and manga panels to compare and contrast things. So let's get started. Now, the episode began with about 2 minutes of recap, just catching everybody up with what's gone down during the Wood Dragon God arc so far. And this image right here pays homage to a few of the chapters in the manga. Every couple of chapters, they would show, because Alderaan has the 5 cities on his back, the different lacrima. Of course, the White Mage's ultimate goal is to destroy the 5 lacrima and take control of Alderaan, the Wood Dragon God. And so, because Fairy Tail has such a large cast of characters, every couple of chapters they would update this. And this is the first time the anime decided to do that, which I really enjoyed seeing this, especially because I just reread the manga. So I'm like, oh, there it is, they remembered. So lots of cute stuff right there. The episode began with Best Girl, Kevin's #1 waifu, Lucy, thinking about how can we save our friends. And what they're discussing right here is the fact that Mira Jane and Elfman are still under the White Mage's control, but they're fighting Mad Mole and Scullion. And what if, because Kana, we learned that she has the ability to put people in her cars once they're drained of their magical energy or they're knocked out or whatever, as we saw with the Thunder God tribe and Jet and Droy and Macau and Wakaba and Romeo and the rest of them. But right now, Mira Jane and Elfman are still going strong and they're fighting Mad Mole and Scullion. So they're thinking, what if we get like a double KO and they all knock themselves out and then we can trap them all and then Diablos will be defeated as well. So they're discussing that. It cuts over to Mira Jane and Elfman fighting, so you have that. And that's where Kana says, yeah, they'll knock each other out. And Lucy's like, okay, Kana, whatever you say. So then Juvia and Kana, they're both pressuring Lucy here, saying that, Toka, not the White Mage, but Toka is in love with Natsu. So what are you going to do about it, Lucy? And Lucy, oh yeah, she's in love with Natsu. I kind of feel sorry for her, because Natsu's not really into that sort of thing. I've tried, and she's blushing. Because we all know Lucy loves Natsu, and I think Natsu loves Lucy too, but, he doesn't really care about love right now. He just wants to fight everyone in battle, and that's all Natsu's about. So this was a perfect one-to-one translation of the manga to the anime. Just her whole face, her gestures, everything about it. Like the blushing, beautiful. I love it. So Lucy's embarrassed. She feels sorry for Toka, but she also kind of feels sorry for herself because she's like, oh, Natsu, come on. So you have that. And as they're discussing that, as they're discussing the love triangle, Toka, who's now in control of the White Mage's body, is speaking to Natsu, saying, oh, Natsu-sama, I love you, oh. And you get like these cute expressions from Toka, and she's saying, oh, Natsu-sama, Natsu-sama, but then she starts hugging Happy, referring to Happy as, oh, Natsu-sama, you saved me, Natsu-sama. Natsu's like, what? Wait, I'm Natsu, that's Happy. What do you mean Happy's Natsu-sama? And there it is in the manga. Again, one-to-one. That's perfect, man. She's got like the XD face, the blushing, and they're both making their derpy faces. You gotta love it. So, Toka recounts the fact that Natsu, referring to Happy, rode the fire dragon and saved her. Toka was very confused because she thought of Natsu as the dragon that Happy was riding, but because of the way that they were wording things, Toka was trapped in this barrel. She assumed that Happy was really Natsu, and Natsu was the dragon that Happy was riding, assuming that Happy was Natsu. So she was all confused. So then Toka gets down and starts thanking Happy all those years ago. Oh, you saved me. Thank you so much, Happy. And then she actually transforms. And we get the reveal that Toka is an X-Seed. And again, here's another comparison to the manga. 1-to-1 translation. Absolutely beautiful. And you have Natsu freaking out. He's like, oh, what do you mean you're a cat? You've always been a cat. And Happy is in love. So cute. We better not tell Carla. I hope she doesn't find out. But again, another comparison to the manga where he's making his face. You're a cat. So cute. I'm in love. And Happy's just staring at her like, oh, Toka, you're so pretty. I love you. And there's Toka, another shot of her. And this is when Natsu brings up Carla. He's like, wait a minute, Happy. You can't just leave Carla behind. What do you mean? And Happy plays dumb. Who's that? And it cuts over to Carla, who sneezes. We get like one little scene of Carla sneezing. Before I go any further, I would just like to say spoiler warning to the anime onlys, because I'm going to show you the cover of Volume 6, which has Toka in color, but it also spoils what's going to happen with Wendy in her battle against Neburo in the next 2 episodes. So spoiler warning, just for reference, that's Toka in the anime. And then the cover of Volume 6 here, we'll zoom in. Maybe I should have just zoomed in from the beginning, so I wouldn't have to show you that. But you see, Toka has like light blue stripes as opposed to purple. I actually really like it in the anime, but you know, people will say, oh, it's not accurate to the manga. It looks fine, man. It looks great, actually. I like Toka. Add some more color. I like her little headpiece, and it's all good. But yeah, some minor spoilers as to what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes of Wendy. And who's that Pokemon? Stay tuned for the next couple episodes. That's all I'm going to say for now. But anyway, after that, it cuts over to the main attraction, the Scarlet Showdown with Erza vs. Laxus. And of course, at the end of episode 12, we saw Erza re-equip into her lightning armor. And you get this epic stare down with Erza vs. Laxus. Again, taken right out of the manga. Look at that, man. Perfect. Perfect. So, Erza's fighting Laxus. And then with one blow, he's able to look at Erza's face right there. Able to damage her armor so badly, it's been shattered. So Erza's like, screw that. Armor won't work. Let's just go with brute strength. So she does that. We have an epic fight. We have a brand new song, an insert song called Beyond the Quest playing in the background here, which has lyrics. Now, I saw the original Fairy Tail anime over 300 some odd episodes, and I don't remember any kind of insert song that had lyrics other than the few times they would play an opening or ending here and there. So this was really good. An excellent song. It's on YouTube if you want to look it up. It's like over 5 minutes. And I felt like the song really elevated the scene. If you go on Twitter, people are really shredding this fight, saying it's the slideshow fight, more reminiscent of the final season anime. To which, in a way, I kind of agree, because we're going to get to some manga panels in a second. In that, in the manga, it's much more brutal and bloody. And when Erza attacks Laxus later in the fight, there's an X, like, through his chest. She dual wields later on, and there's an X. Laxus is bleeding all over the place, but there's hardly any scratch on them in this fight in the anime, which is my little nitpick. You see like a few bruises here and there, but it's not as brutal as it was in the manga. But overall, as I've always said, the manga's always there to fall back on. The anime elevates it with the voice acting, and in this case, especially the music and the brand new song. So you get the fight, Laxus powering up, and he gets like the red lightning mode, which this is a case where, dude, the manga does it so much better. Like here it is when he declares red lightning mode, and just look at his face, the muscles, everything about it. Whereas I get the vibe they're going for here with the white eyes. He's controlled by the white mage. He's going berserk. But it just looks so much better in the manga, man. I mean, come on. What do you think? Please leave a comment down below of what you think. But that's my 2 cents right there. But the fight continues. You have Erza. She uses Wendy's dragon sword ability that she used against Kiria early in the season. And going to town. This is like the example of the slideshow animation. Like, we don't even see Erza's face there. And where's her feet? Like, she doesn't have any toes. What the hell, man? But they're pretty evenly matched. I mean, Laxus punches her. She gets right back up, slashes them. That's supposed to be the blood. That they turn it, like, a brownish red. I mean, come on, man. He's supposed to be bleeding all over the place. Kiria's looking at him like, wait a minute, because this is when she realizes she sees the guild emblems on both of them, and she says, wait, the two of them are in the same guild? Why are they fighting each other? And in this case, as I've always said, Kiria is better in the anime. They make her prettier, where in the manga she has this face like, what? They're in the same guild? But she looks hot as hell, laying right there. So after that, Erza's like, okay, I'll use my new technique, where she's able to use, she imbues Natsu's power in this sword, and Gray's power in that sword, which was pretty badass, and she attacks Laxus again, and this is where she slashes him. In the manga, there's an X. He's bleeding all over the place, an X through his chest, but here it's just like one little hit, and he's powering up again, like, oh, take that, and there's nothing, like, there's hardly any scratch on him, like, what the hell, man? She's slashing with these swords, and what, are they made of rubber or something? What the hell? But they're still going at it. And I think in this scene in particular, Erza says something like, I'm fired up now, taking Natsu's line, so that was great. And then Kiria again, just, these two are nuts. I thought they're friends. So they're fighting each other. Laxus powering up again. He punches her with the red lightning attack. And this, like, busts a hole in the church they're fighting in. And you see it knocks Kiria back. And again, some nice boobage action of Kiria. You gotta love it. But that knocks the wind out of Erza. And what happens here, as we get another excellent angle of Erza's boobage, she admits defeat and also starts smiling. And Laxus is like, what do you mean? I defeated you. You admit defeat, but you're smiling. To which Erza says, well, I'm happy I know there's someone strong enough to look after the guild, because when me and the rest of the team Natsu, Gray, Lucy, Wendy, and Happy and Carla went on the 100 Years quest, she was worried who's going to look after the guild, because Makarov's in a wheelchair, Gildarts is doing his own thing. That leaves Laxus, the de facto guild master, if you will. And she says, you know, I'm proud of you, Laxus. And this goes back to earlier in this arc when I was talking with Natsu and Gajil, their fight, and how Levi stepped in, that, okay, the White Mage is controlling these guys, but at the end of the day, they still, like, have their memories and some sort of reason. So it's just kind of it's a plot point that I feel like was started, but not really followed up too well, because then Laxus says, like, oh, I've used all my power as well, and you're great, Erza. We both put up an excellent fight. So, wait a minute. I thought Laxus was being controlled by the White Mage, and he's here admitting defeat as well, and he's proud of Erza, but I don't know. It's just at the end of the day, it's fairy tale, the power of friendship, and you gotta love it at the end of the day, which I do. So this is the case. There's another panel. I couldn't find it. I was putting all these screenshots together, but you see like the X right there with Laxus, and that was when Erza attacked him, and just how bruised they all are. And same right here, where he's got all these marks on him, but you go back over here, and there's hardly any scratch on him. Same with Erza. Where's Erza? Like, there's a couple bruises on her neck, her face, whatever, but, you know, it's much more brutal in the manga. So that's my nitpick. Overall, I enjoyed the fight. I enjoy watching Fairy Tail every week. I'm not going to be a doomer, like, say, it's the worst thing ever. I'm always going to enjoy it. But in this case, I do feel like the fight was better in the manga. Although, you have the music and the voice acting in the anime, which I always think is better. So, it is what it is. And then you get Kiria looking hot as fuck. Look at her. How fortunate to see more Kiria boob. And as the two of them pass out, she says, okay, I'll destroy the Lacrima, which she does. She destroys it, and now 3 have been destroyed. So once all 5 are destroyed, then Alderaan is going to be out of power, and the White Mage will be in control, I guess. So Wendy, in her cuckoo form, is running away. We can see this one little scene. Neveru's chasing her, and that'll continue later. It cuts back over to Toka, making the cute face saying goodbye to Happy, because what happens here is the White Mage takes control again. So she's just happy that she saw Happy, pun intended, I suppose, and says farewell. And then the White Mage takes control of her body, and Natsu and Happy are confronting her, like, hey, give us back Toka. What are you taking over this poor girl's body? Talking about the cat, the X-Seed. And this is when, Toka, or sorry, I'm getting confused now. The White Mage is like, I've sealed Toka away. I'm in control. And actually, in this case, when Toka spoke, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the X-Seed, the cat, has a different voice actor than the White Mage. So I thought that was a nice touch. So she's trying to take all Natsu's magic energy. I'm gonna die, you whites. And then Happy, stepping up, grabs the Lacrima and just throws the fucking thing at the White Mage's back and knocks her ass out. And then Happy says, I knew that would work. Because what happened, he remembers back from when Juvia was saying how, the White Mage controlled all of Fairy Tail to destroy the Lacrima. She couldn't do it. And Happy's like, why can't she do it? It must affect her in some negative way. So all of a sudden, these crystals and roots start growing out of her. And Happy's like, I did it, Natsu. And Natsu's like, how'd you think of that? And Happy explains, oh, I remember when Juvia was being controlled and the White Mage was telling Fairy Tail to do this. So I just thought, if she couldn't touch the Lacrima, what if I throw it at her? Where is it again? He throws the fucking thing at her. So then the White Mage is like, no, I can't. How could this be happening? And again, another comparison to the manga. It's more horror-esque in the manga, but it looks good in the anime as well. So that's where the episode ends. And as the ending plays, you always get a preview for next week's episode, what it's going to be called. Last week, this was called The Scarlet Showdown. And this episode ends with this. Next time, Lucy's Diary, side story, Lucy's Diary. Now, this is not in the manga. So I'm thinking, are we going to get a filler episode? Which, over the past few years, a lot of the long-running shonen series do their 12, 24, or 25 episode seasons, and then they take a year or so break, and then they continue. Back in the day with the original Fairy Tail, over 300 episodes, which they had a few breaks here and there. They had the first season, the second season, which is the second half of Grand Magic Games to the end of Tartaros, and then the final season. There was a few breaks there, but otherwise, there was an episode every week for years. You go back with like Naruto, episode every week for years. Bleach, same thing. It wasn't until I think Black Clover was one of the more recent anime that had an episode every week, and until that ended back in 2019 or 2020. And now a lot of these series do the 12 or 24 episodes and then take a break, so there isn't filler anymore. And we know this first season is going to be 25 episodes, so it looks like this is either going to be a filler episode or a recap episode, which is kind of strange considering how this episode ended, all the stuff that still needs to take place with Nebiru, Alderaan, the rest of Diabolos. It seems kind of out of place to have a filler episode, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a recap episode and Lucy just narrated, a recap of the first 13 episodes. And then that way, with episode 15, we'll get the new opening, because we're due for a new opening by now. I love the first opening, but, we keep seeing Mercphobia and Ignia. We got to see the new opening, because there's still more characters in the Alderaan arc. You saw maybe the spoiler of the cover of Volume 6, and Celine, she's going to get her cameo soon, man, because she appears in Chapter 50 in the manga, so... Anyway, that's all I got for this week's episode. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Any theories as to what this is going to be about? Your opinion on the Erza Laxus fight and anything else I might have missed, please leave a comment down below. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and peace out.
99.